welcome to this week's edition of Nikki Eat World. Today we are in Armenia, which, for those of you who don't know, is located near Turkey, Iran, and Azerbaijan. So it's kind of in the Middle East area. And so we are cooking with bulgur today, which, if you can see, it says the grain of the Middle East. So I'm excited. I've never tried it before. Looks kind of like that. So I'm going to go ahead and start by putting it in a bowl with some warm water over it to kind of soften it up. This dish is kind of interesting. We'll see. It's basically a meat casserole. It's got bulgur and meat as the crust and then meat in the middle. So we'll see. I think my husband will love it. I'm not a huge meat person, so it could be interesting. But I'm going to go ahead and get started by getting that soaking, and I'll be back with our next steps. I have a bowl here with some ground turkey, and I already put the spices in there. So it's got some black pepper, some coriander, some allspice. I said to use Aleppo red pepper. I looked it up. It looks pretty similar to just red pepper flakes, so that's what I went with because I wasn't sure where to find the other pepper. And some salt. So that's all in the bowl with this. Need to mix it all up along with the bulgur. Just gonna drain this. Drain the excess water off. But not all of it, because it says this can get pretty dry, so you want to be careful and add some warm water if it gets too dry. So you want a little bit of the water still. So while I am using my hands to mix this all up, I will give you guys some fun facts about Armenia. So Armenia is really cool. It was one of the first countries to adopt Christianity as their national religion, and so it's also where the first church was built. It's called, I'm gonna look at this so I get the name right, Ekmiadzin, I think, Ekmiadzin Cathedral, and that was the very first church building built. Armenia is also one of the 6 ancient countries of the world. I don't remember all the other ones, but Japan's one, Greece is one. There's only 6 of them, but Armenia is one of them. The first, oh my gosh, this is so cold. The meat wasn't supposed to be frozen, but it has some frozen chunks in it, and it is very cold. So the first writing that mentions Armenia was from 520 BC. So it's a very old country, and it's about to celebrate its 2,800. The capital city is about to celebrate its 2,800th birthday. So that's pretty cool. And it is also, so sadly, not anymore. After the Soviet Union dissolved, it was part of that, but the borders changed a bit. So Mount Ararat, where Noah's Ark landed after the flood, used to be in Armenia. It is now located in Turkey, very close to Armenia, but it's still very important to Armenian people, and they have a lot of pride in that. 2 more fun facts. One, it's the homeland of the apricot. So, if you ever wonder where apricots are from, Armenia. When they were introduced in Rome, they called them Armenian apples. And the last fun fact is that chess is very important to Armenian culture. They have had a lot of chess champions there, And since I think it said 2011, chess is now a required subject in schools. All right, so it's said to work this pretty well so that it's super well mixed. Hope it's good enough. I'm gonna stick it in the fridge for now. This is our crust. Crust. They call it a shell. This is the shell for the casserole. And I think it's pretty well mixed, so I'm gonna stick it in the fridge while I make the filling. The filling is very similar to the crust, only minus the bulgur and plus a couple of vegetables. So I had some leftover ground beef, so I'm using that for the filling instead of ground turkey. It said to use, so for both the crust and the filling, it said to either use ground beef, ground lamb, or ground turkey. So doing a little mix and match here. Ground turkey for the crust, ground beef for the filling. Hopefully the mixing of meats isn't strange. I don't know. So it says to cook the meat first. So that's what I'm doing. I got some ground beef in here, cooking it up. And then I'm going to add some onions. So back up. I'm not going to add the onions with the meat. After the meat is done, I will take the meat out, melt some butter and put some olive oil in here, and I will cook the onions that way. It said to use 3 large onions for this. Well, I'm having the recipe, so I guess it would be 1.5 large onions. I think I'm just gonna do like 3/4 of an onion because I like onions about this much. I think they add good flavor to things, but I don't like to like chew them. So I will not add as much as it called for. So it's this ground beef, the onions, parsley, and basically all the same spices as the filling, or the crust, I mean, the shell. And then some pine nuts. So I am working on that.
The onions have gotten soft, so I added back in the meat and half a bunch of parsley. I also added back the spices, so some red pepper, coriander, allspice, black pepper, and salt. I'm just mixing that all together. And I'm going to cook this for probably another minute. And then I'm going to add in the pine nuts. And then this will be the filling for our casserole. And I just realized, I don't think I told you what this thing is called. It is called, I hope I'm saying this right, Sini Kufteh, I believe. S-I-N-I, and then Kufteh is K-U-F-T-E-H. So, the filling is just about done. I'm going to add in the pine nuts, and then I'll show you what we're going to do with the shell.
Here is where it gets interesting. I'm going to take half of the shell and I've greased this pan here, and I'm just going to press it into the bottom. So once you do that, then you, oops, my hands, pour the filling in there. It's definitely going to be interesting, but I don't think it'll be gross. It smells pretty good. Okay. Beautiful. Very lovely. And then I'm going to take the half of, ooh, hold on, let me get particular. You take the other half and, this will be so interesting. Okay, you kind of roll it out. I don't want to get my rolling pin covered in meat though. So I'm going to use this parchment paper as a barrier. And you roll it out so it's kind of the same shape as your pan. I don't know. Here, let me show you this. I don't know if you can see this. So I've made it so it's kind of the same shape as my pan. I guess you do it this way so that you're not like pushing it into the filling and that there's some pretty distinct layers. But it feels very weird to pull out meat. You flop it in. Okay, so as you can see, there's some distinct layers there. And now it's gonna go into the oven for 35 to 40 minutes. I forgot a step. So, you need to score it with a knife into diagonal, kind of like a zigzag. I'm not sure if the scoring does anything. Maybe it lets it breathe a little better. Okay, so I've scored it and then it said to brush it with olive oil. I'm just going to pour some olive oil on the top using a handy dandy little silicone brush and just brush it. Oh, here's the food. Zach has to leave. So
unfortunately.
I'm eating it alone tonight. I don't even know how to get all of this. It's just so much meat. Alright, are we trying it?
Yeah.
Okay. Why are we doing it this way? Very challenging.
I like it.
Yeah, it's got a good flavor.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird texture.
It's just a lot of, yeah.
It's kind of crunchy.
Just meaty.
Like kind of
meaty.
Very meaty. It reminds me of like a weird casserole that you'd find at like a family reunion. They're not really sure what's in it.
It tastes good.
It does taste good though.
But, yeah.
Approve.
So, quick rundown of Armenia. And I only made the one dish. It was good. I'm not a huge fan of meat, especially ground meat. I don't know, something about the texture. So it wasn't my favorite dish, but the spices in it were really good. So I might try to make something else with those spices at some point. That's not ground meat. But Zach really liked it, so let him eat the leftovers. If you'd like to follow my culinary journey around the world, go ahead and hit subscribe so you don't miss a thing.